Of crime, October is National Cyber Crimes Awareness Month. The computer and other digital advancements led to a new way of keeping records and doing business. But of course, it did not take long for criminals to figure out how to get away with bad things. KLTV7's Bob Hallmark has more on what you should be looking out for.
The computer age ushered in a new industry, but for governments, military, business, and individuals, it also created an era of danger: cybercrime.
A cybercrime is any illegal activity that's carried out using a computer network or a digital device.
It can vary from one simple online theft of identity or funds to massive cyber attacks on corporations and businesses.
Anywhere from spoof emails, business breaches, financial institution breaches. Some of the major business breaches, you can get into the billions. A lot of times the actors are out of country. There's some social engineering psychology behind it. They know what they're doing. They want to play on your anxiety and your fear and make you believe that there's some kind of immediate problem. Your Netflix account is suspended, or there's a problem with your credit card.
And even preying online for children.
Most parents want to believe that their kid's smart enough or couldn't fall victim to something like that, but unfortunately, we know that they do.
And police say a priority for anyone who even suspects that they're a target is to report it.
It is the same process. What they would do is either come to the police department or call the police department, and we would take an initial offense report.
And most law enforcement agencies now have a cybercrimes unit to alert the general public of a current cybercrime technique.
At least we can know we have a problem, and then maybe we can make a better effort to educate the public and bring awareness to the issue. You really have to be on your toes.
Bob Hallmark, KLTV 7 News.
Pickering says to guard against cyber attacks, never give any personal or banking information to anyone online.